Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. I speak to Katie Hayes, the Head of Marketing at Ozone API, and we had an absolutely fantastic conversation. We spoke some really good details about work-life balance, how she goes about dealing with that with twins, and then we dived in on some B2B trends and spoke about exactly what she's seen and what they're doing to make it super relevant for developers and technical marketing aspect, how they go about creating their content. And she touched on some great points around actually, you know what, you're actually better off stripping it all the way back and just focusing on one hero content piece rather than creating multiple content pieces just so that it hits and it resonates. But I deeply believe this will be really useful for any B2B marketers. So stay tuned, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And we've got more of these coming up in the following weeks. Hi, good morning, Katie. Thank you for taking the time to jump on and speak with me today. And for you guys that don't know who Katie is the Head of Marketing at Ozone API. And I'm really excited about this conversation. And for anyone that would like to dive into B2B marketing, and this one will be going deep into specifically FinTech marketing, as we've got Katie, so it'll be absolutely pointless not getting all of her information and knowledge out of her. But what I'd like to do is hand it over to you, Katie. If you could just take 2-3 minutes, give everyone an intro about who you are, what you do, and just almost a career snapshot of yourself.
Sure. Hi, McLeod. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm Katie. I head up marketing at Ozone API. We are a fintech scale-up based in or headquartered in the UK, but we are very much a global team. And what we do is we provide open API technology to banks and financial institutions. So our remit is the open banking, open finance world, which is quite niche, but a very exciting space around the world as each market is at a different maturity level. So that's where it gets really fun with B2B marketing. And stepping back, a look at my career, I have very much been involved in all aspects. So I've done some time at an agency. I've been in a number of in-house roles, building out marketing departments. I love doing rebrands. So I've done a couple of rebrands, including Ozone API. And I've worked across a number of industries, from luxury spirits and champagne brands to fashion to tech. And now I've found myself in a really good niche in the fintech world. So looking forward to getting stuck in.
Perfect. No, thank you for introducing yourself, and let's just get started. Let's just go straight into it. So I guess it would be good to understand what would you say is your biggest fear in marketing right now? Because we see so much stuff going on there's new tech coming out every single day. AI is top of mind for everyone, and rightly so. I think we all need to be utilizing it every single day, but the way that we use it, what would you say is some of the fears that you've got with marketing in this day and age?
I wouldn't phrase it as a fear. I would say it's definitely a focus area. You mentioned AI and buzzwords and innovation. I think there's sometimes a risk that all of that fast tracks and we don't do the education piece around that. So it's really important to educate people and take people on that journey to make the most of it. So I'm not one who is afraid of AI taking my job. I think if you're a marketer, you need to be using AI. I actually posted about this on LinkedIn this week, that AI shouldn't be your autopilot or taking over jobs. It should be your co-pilot. It should be making you better and helping you be a better marketer.
No, I completely agree. Because, for example, in my everyday day stack, I utilize everything from ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and I just can't think of not using them. I just can't think of using them, because especially when you work from home, you work remotely, it's hard. You don't have someone to bounce different things off. So I like to, at least, whether that's going into Claude and putting together either my strategy or my thoughts, and then having someone that can, not someone, I've gone too far into AI, I'm calling it a person, to at least bounce ideas off, because to like critically evaluate it, let me know where the gaps are. So I think it'd be extremely hard not to have that tool in place to give you the blind spots.
Exactly, and we're working with a new colleague. I'm going to call it a colleague, called Dojo AI, where it's a marketing AI platform with a number of marketing agents, and it really has done that. It has enabled us to be far more data driven. It's removed the blind spots, and it's a sounding board of can we feed it certain content, ask it to pull out different elements. And what I really love about it is that it's a ring fenced environment. So you're not necessarily in the public forum, especially in fintech where confidentiality is really important in security. So we've plugged in our Google Analytics, our LinkedIn, and it pulls all the data, and the output has been fantastic. It's really helped us to work faster, and it genuinely feels like we have another really strong data analyst on the team.
So the real question is, are you ready to not have your whole team and just have Dojo and just you and Dojo only? Or is that too soon, too far, and will never happen anyway?
Too soon, too far. I'm not going to say it's never going to happen, but I do think that there is great value in human marketers, especially when it comes to the creative. We see a lot of generic AI content out there. You really need to infuse your brand, personality, thought leadership, and make it unique. So no, I would say it needs to be both AI and humans. Obviously, AI is reducing more entry level jobs, and I am concerned with the next generation. But I think already I'm working with an intern at the moment, and the prompts that he's coming up with, I'm already thinking down the line he could be the next head of prompt engineering, which is going to be a role.
No, to be honest, that's really interesting, because I think a lot of people don't realize that in itself is a skill, because if you put generic prompts in, you get generic responses, but the better and more fine-tuned your prompts is, the better the quality of the response and data that you get back out of it.
Exactly.
So before we even go deeper into marketing, if you weren't in marketing, what would you be doing instead?
I would probably be in a people team or in HR. I wear a number of hats, and at Ozone, I've been a culture champion. I've done quite a bit of work around our onboarding, our performance management. I'm actually running a leadership workshop with all our line managers today. So I would say that would probably be a natural alternative. Or if money wasn't really an issue, I would be a yoga teacher. I'm a qualified yoga teacher, so I'd run retreats and do that, maybe do some writing on the side.
Sounds like you're trying to live out your own eat, pray, love.
Aren't we all?
To say the least. But no, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And how come you said on the HR part, why does that come natural to you? Because of course, being around a lot of companies, a lot of leaders, some people just have that naturally when it comes to either the people side, the leadership side, just wanting to make sure that either their team have the best environments for them to be able to succeed. And then also just, yeah, I've come across some people that it doesn't come as natural to them. So where does that stem from with you?
It is definitely something that comes naturally to me. I think I've always been in leadership roles, even from school days, and people, I really find that they are the heart of any organization. So I've had quite a bit of experience being involved in DEI or DEIB, belonging added to the acronym, and I've facilitated training in previous organizations. I worked at a nonprofit called We Think Code in South Africa, where they provide tuition-free software engineering program. Basically, it's over 2 years, and it's sponsored by corporate sponsors, so the likes of banks, software engineering houses, and then they offer the students paid internships and then provide them with a full-time job for at least a year at the end of the program. And in that process, I was head of marketing and sourcing, so sourcing youth to apply and join the program. And what we found is that there were many socioeconomic barriers, especially for women in the space. So that sort of fueled my DEI passion, and I landed up setting up a community of women think code, women engineers, people who would want to get into the industry, and helping them tackle some of the barriers to help them. So that's a bit of a roundabout way of saying, giving a bit of context into my experience, and it's something that comes naturally to me. I put up my hand in the early days at Ozone API to say I'd love to get involved and help contribute to our company culture and champion these things. We were really small. We didn't necessarily have dedicated HR, so everyone was sort of chipping in, and I really enjoy the work.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and especially I guess with where you are now, you've got twins, so I mean that must be a handful to say the least. But what would you say is the biggest lie about work-life balance? Because of course you're a working mum, you got twins, and then you still need to balance everything. And like I was saying to you before we started this, I'm a working dad. I've got two kids, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. So it's work, and then whilst working, of course, I work from home. I've got the kids who will want to come in, they want to talk, and it's diverting that attention from, right, I'm in work mode, okay, I need to transition. I need to quickly go downstairs, play with them. I need to go into the garden, kick the ball around with my son, come back, pick him up to nursery, drop him off, take him to school. It's juggling. Everyone juggles. What does that look like for you?
It is definitely a juggle as well, I think, as anyone, and I'm very grateful to have remote working, to have that flexibility. I don't think that it is possible to have it all. I think it's about finding that happy medium, or that balance of where you are fully in work mode, you're focused, like I am right now. My boys are at nursery today, so I know that they're in great hands. But then also, it's also okay to be 100% focused on family and turn off work. So I'm quite good at setting boundaries of, I don't want to work on weekends. If I need to work some late evenings, happy to do that. If I need to hop on some calls with, say, America, or need to catch up on bits and pieces, more than happy to do that. But want to sort of say, okay, I'm going to be fully present when I pick up my boys from nursery and do bath time, do the evening routine. If I need to look at a quick Slack message on my phone, that's fine, but I try and keep it away. But then making sure that I can try and have that focused attention on work and on family life.
No, I completely agree. I think it's just balancing it, spinning plates, spinning complete plates. As soon as I get the kids to sleep, I'll either then come back into the office, do some bits and bobs I need to do, take the laptop into bed. But then I also see it as everything's got cycles, right? So just because either this next year I'm working late, it doesn't mean that the next 2-3 years will be the same. So it's just subs and flows. But I just try to balance it the best way I can for my family and my kids, and say, okay, right, what phase and cycle are we in now? Okay, right, I just need to completely shut the laptop, go all in on family, like you said, weekends, I coach my son's football team, so that's it for me.
Lovely.
Just 100%. It is so hard. Imagine having 5-year-olds running around. The first session that I did, I was like, what is going on? I was saying, right, do this. You got 2 doing over there, 2 over there, and it's just absolute chaos. But it's fun, and it's something that's different from the everyday job. So I think it's just having that balance, and that balance is completely different for everyone.
Yeah. And I think what's really important is your village on the work front and on the home front. So I would not be able to be doing what I'm doing without my partner, my husband. He is a fantastic twin dad, and we really complement each other, because some days if we haven't had enough sleep, we'll be like, I'm at 5%. Can you please just sort out dinner? I'll clean up and do the laundry and sterilize the bottles, and I'll do the late night feed. But can you please just, I need it right now, type of thing, which really helps, especially for us where our family's on the other side of the world in South Africa. And I think this is a challenge for working parents these days. I actually said to Gareth, my partner, last night, can you imagine if we had our twins and it was lockdown and you were trying to work, but your the kids were at home, we like would not have coped. So massive respect to all the parents who went through that, because yeah, that is the impossible.
Oh, that was a crazy time because my son was born in 2020. It's born in 2020, so just literally as lockdown happened. So
Wow.
it wasn't fun to say the least. But I think exactly like what you said, I've got a really good partner. My wife, she's amazing, and she's basically the yin to my yang, shall I say, where we just balance each other
Yeah.
out, and it works. It works. But what I'd say is something about fintech, the industry, that would shock people who are on the outside looking in.
I think people would be shocked that the fintech community, especially in London and the UK, but I would actually say that this extends globally, is really close-knit and friendly. My experience is that everyone who I have dealt with, I'd say 90% of everyone I've dealt with, are always open and happy to hop on a call, to share learnings, to share advice. There are a number of communities and WhatsApp groups, and if anybody is looking for, they say they're hiring a new role, they're looking for a PR agency, they want some advice on that, you always get feedback, and it's a really inclusive environment, I would say, which I think would be quite shocking because it's financial services and fintech. That's been my experience.
No, to be honest, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it definitely almost needs to be, especially when you take a look at the regulation and the compliance, where it's hard to almost do it on your own because it moves at such a fast pace with fintech, and the change of the regulations that are put in place, it's definitely helpful to at least have someone else in a different company in fintech who either works in marketing, legal, finance, whichever one it is. For example, C-suite talking to each other, leadership talking to each other, because there's enough space for all the different fintech startups and scale up to survive. And it definitely makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and the ecosystem is really strong. I would say most fintechs have partnerships. It's a big part of the growth strategy, especially for Ozone API. We are entering new regions, and we're trying to find partners where they bring the whole ecosystem, we bring the technology. How can we collaborate and have a big impact on society with our financial products to really nudge that societal change.
And then, of course, with just how busy your days with work, with the change, of course, with the tech stack, with the team, with just the growth of Ozone API as well. When would you say was the last time when you almost felt like a complete fraud at work? Either you're trying something new, you're challenging yourself, you're pushing yourself. Where did you feel like you're a bit out of your own depth here?
That's a great question. I would say when I entered the industry and the open banking world, there are so many acronyms and buzzwords. And I think when I joined, I probably had about 10 post-its around my home desk trying to just navigate this new world. And I think that's natural for any new industry or new space. So I think that was probably the last time I felt quite intimidated and a fraud, because especially in marketing, you have so many transferable skills. If you've been in B2C, B2B, you are marketing to people at the end of the day. So you bring that skill set, especially if you're a generalist marketer. But what can be intimidating is entering a new space where there are all these acronyms and buzzwords that are being thrown around, and you don't really feel like you have a good grasp of it yet. But you fully immerse yourself into that world, and within no time you feel like you can speak to those acronyms or translate them into layman's terms. I think that's another big component of marketing, especially product marketing. When it comes to regulations, compliance, all the technical bits. And I know we'll get into that later, I'm sure.
No, correct. And so that's one of the things I was going to say is because there's so many different acronyms when it comes to fintech, it can almost feel like a different language from someone looking from the outside in. But what I have seen and do see all the time is a lot of fintech startup scale-ups is they almost get caught in using the acronyms for their end customers when actually, you know what, you just need to take it all the way back and keep it as simple as possible. And that's
Yeah.
what I've seen a lot of the time works best.
Yep, and I think we see that exactly with the phrase open banking or open finance. When people launch new open banking products, people think, "Oh, I don't want to open up my data. I don't want to do this. I don't trust this." So it actually open banking itself needs a rebrand because you're using open banking every day. If you are using Apple Pay, if you are pay by bank, you are giving that user consent to allow that bridge into your bank account to release funds or whatever the case may be, or data. So yeah, that's a perfect example of sometimes acronyms are not the way forward, or terminology that may be very on point in an industry is not well received by the end consumer.
Correct. And I'll say, when just taking a look at B2B right now, what's going on, as we both know, I spend too much time on LinkedIn, so I know exactly what's going on, what's being said. But what would you say? What would you say is the biggest bullshit trend in B2B marketing right now that everyone's pretending works, but actually you feel different based on what you guys are doing and just your experience?
There is an overuse of, we've spoken a bit about this, about AI terminology like next generation buzzwords, and I really think it's important to take a step back. And audiences want clarity, they want that proof point, they want to know how you are solving a problem that they have. So I think it's moving away from less hype and really just being clear about what you are doing and delivering. And I think that also ties into sometimes brands can overpromise and use these big bold words like we're revolutionizing this, and I'm guilty of it. I'm sure I've used that phrase in some award submissions along the way. But I think that the strongest stories are about making fintech relatable. We want to make the system safer, faster, and more inclusive. So really driving that human element is powerful.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said about revolutionizing, because almost every fintech says that they're revolutionizing something. And why do you think that's the case? Why does almost every fintech that starts believe that they are revolutionizing something? And do you think that's actually the case, or do you think some of it's smokes and mirrors?
There's probably a bit of both. I think the fintech world can be really complex, and understanding who the players are and exactly what they do. We find that we are sometimes compared to aggregators in the space where we're not an aggregator. Aggregators are usually actually land up being our partners, our referral or reseller partners. So there's that component where you need that clarity. I think that it's also quite a competitive space, so it's vital that you really put a spotlight on what makes you unique and what your unique offering is, because you don't want to just be another speck in the ocean in the fintech world.
No, I completely agree, and I think you got it right in the sense that, of course, there's going to be some which are completely revolutionizing and saying exactly what they do on the tin, but then there'll be some which are. And it's not a bad thing. I don't think everything needs to be revolutionary, and not everything will be, because it's just not the way that the world works. There's only so much tech that can be spun up in a single moment in time. And of course, right now, we're seeing it with AI in the sense that every product that I'm seeing currently is AI-led, AI this, AI that. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But actually,
that's a theme at every conference at the moment.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it's just driving me crazy, because I'm like, okay, right, you're AI this, but then, okay, right, are you just a spend management tool? Great. Tell me about that, and tell me how you can help me, and tell me what the process looks like and what's the end result. The AI side of it, great. Yeah, you'll streamline stuff, I'll get efficiencies, but that's what the end user wants to know. That's what the finance director who's going through spreadsheets, they want to know exactly how it's going to help them. They couldn't care less about the AI side of it.
Yeah, so true.
What marketing tactic do you see other companies currently doing at the moment that make you cringe a bit to say, oh, I'm not sure about that one?
Oh, this could be controversial. I would say brands that are doing a spray and pray approach, where they're just putting out a lot of generic content and hoping that it lands, especially in the B2B fintech marketing world. That's not a great approach. I think it's better to do one piece of hero content that is really powerful, really targeted at that key target audience, ICP, whatever you want to call it, instead of doing 20 generic posts.
And speaking on the content piece, of course, you've got a slightly harder job, shall I say, than most, because your content marketing is for the developer audiences in some aspects. Most companies tend to generally get this wrong. So what would you say are some of the mistakes that they get wrong when it comes to either marketing or creating content that has to resonate with developers?
It's important to look at the audience, as you say. So we have multiple decision makers in our sales funnel or in the sales process. So if you think about the developer really wants to understand, will this work? Will this product work? Will it work within our infrastructure, within our organization? Versus someone on the procurement side or commercial side will be like, is this going to help us generate revenue? Is this going to be lucrative for our business? So with that in mind, you really need to tailor the content to those different audiences. It's crucial to have that human element, to start with your top line. Okay, this is what we do. This is the problem we solve. And from there, you can go dig deeper and have more secondary content, which is more technical for your developer audience. But also you need to maintain that top line narrative of this is the problem we're solving, and we know the space better than anyone else. This is our USP. This is why we're unique. This is why you should work with us. And coming back to the why this matters. And I think for each piece of content, that's an important consideration. So if you say you're a developer, say you're a CTO, CPO, why does this matter? Versus you're someone on the commercial side, why does this matter to your overall business strategy?
Gotcha. And then, so shall I say maybe controversial one is, so most B2B marketing budgets tend to be wasted on the wrong channels. What I'd just say is the most overrated marketing channel right now?
I would say more an approach of blowing a whole bunch of budget on performance marketing or paid media where you have a generic audience. In B2B, you have to be pretty niche, and that's really important. You're not going to get the results if you, again, are doing this spray and pray approach. So that's where I think that budget can be wasted. I think it's also important on a regular basis, whether that be biannual, annual, to take a step back and to say, okay, what is the ROI on our channels? Are we investing in the right places? Have we seen the results that we want to see on, say, investing in a PR agency or doing some content placements, and then focusing your mind on the North Star. What is the business strategy? What is your goal ultimately? And is your channel mix delivering on that?
No, I completely agree. Of course, with what I do, it's predominantly on the paid media side of it. So I take a look under the bonnet for just so many different companies to see exactly what they're doing, how they're running their performance, their paid, and the amount of times that I take a look at whether that's LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, whichever one it is, and you just see the targeting is just so broad and so wide open, which then has a knock-on effect on the messaging and the creatives. And it's all one thing. It all works in one thing. It's so hard to have one message that resonates to everyone, because if you want to hit everyone, you might as well just go to Google offices and just hand them the money, because it's just a complete waste of money. So how are you guys approaching almost your content and paid and distribution strategy to make sure that your messaging is completely relevant and it hits the mark?
Where we test multiple formats, and we do a lot of A/B testing. For instance, with LinkedIn ads, we'll test a number of video formats, static, and within those ad sets, see what performs well, and then optimize accordingly in real time. It's not something that we will say, okay, we're going to press play, let it run for a month and see what happens. You need that close eye on the performance every day, and then once you have enough data, then have that data-driven decision to pivot your strategy and to invest more behind what is working.
I'll say, just on the last one on this before we move on, is I'm just a big fan of video ads at the moment. So the view rates and the watch times are really, really good and really high. Of course, depends on the video production, but and then also when it comes to just the retargeting play that you can have with those video ads in LinkedIn, I'm very, very bullish on those. And also just the cost. It's so cheap compared to the other campaign types, even when looking at thought leadership ads. So we're running some of those at the moment, and the cost just from an engagement side of it and in actual driving results as well. Even taking the likes of yourself, either your C-suite, and running some ads from the content that you post, it just resonates. It feels 10 times more human, and just the engagement rates that we're seeing at the moment are exceptionally high.
Yeah, that's spot on. That's exactly what we're doing. And I'm really fortunate to have a really strong team of video editors as well. Our marketing team can do that in-house. So we are doing quite a nice mix of the more polished, whether it be a live webinar that we then create content and have some teaser videos. We're doing a Global Voices series where we're bringing thought leaders in the open banking space, open finance space from around the world, and doing a whole series of videos of panel discussions, so that we are educating the industry with what's happening at the moment. And then also employee advocacy is a big element for us as well. How can we leverage our internal thought leaders? We've been working a lot with one of the co-founders and CEO, Hugh, on creating video content and putting it out, and as you could say, looking at different formats of how you can sponsor those posts or put budget behind them.
Perfect. Music to my ears. I just love thought leadership at the moment. It's by far one of the best things that I'm going crazy about at the moment. And then so from
it's our bread and butter,
regulatory,
sure.
Is it? I'm not surprised. And I'll tell everyone to, if they're not currently doing it at the moment, test it and run it. But of course, like you said, they'll have to have good video production, because otherwise it just won't work. From a regulatory compliance in marketing, do you see that as a necessary evil or a competitive advantage?
It's a competitive advantage, I would say. It's an opportunity for your brand to build trust, credibility, and to differentiate yourself. It's definitely something at Ozone API. Our software taps into whatever regulations are present in your country or region. And that's really a huge USP for us. So I would definitely say it's a competitive advantage.
No, I agree. And I think even just from a trust aspect, just with the end consumer, the more that you can show that, of course, you're the ones that know and understand the regulation, the compliance, and you communicate and distribute it in a way that's authentic and natural, it definitely puts you in the best place for when they are in market and looking. That regulatory and compliance message will definitely resonate and go a long way with the end audience. Of course, we get things right, we get things wrong, but we've all failed. And one of the things that I see a lot of the time is on LinkedIn, a lot of people will spend significant amounts of time saying they're crushing it. Their campaign got 7,000 return the cost per lead dropped by 600% month over month. And I mean, we both know some of it just isn't accurate. It's just not true. So can you tell me about a marketing campaign and strategy that completely flopped and what happened?
It's a great question. I think you also highlighted the importance of the right metrics, the right KPIs. What are you looking at? Because sometimes vanity metrics can sound really impressive, like, I don't know, thousands of impressions, but how is that actually having an impact on your key objectives? I think that's important to consider. A specific campaign doesn't come to mind, but I think that there are various elements in the day-to-day where I have, or my team, we have failed fast and failed forward. So I'm a big believer in testing different formats, different things, and with that, processes. So maybe one recent, this happened a couple of months ago, working with a new development team for our website. We were pushing some new web pages live, and usually the best practice way is to push it on staging, do a Q&A, test that everything's working, and then press it live. But obviously there are always bugs that come in, and this just happened to be on a Friday afternoon, and certain things were not working. So it was like, well, we need to pull it down, or we need to have a quick fix so that it looks decent and works over the weekend. But in hindsight, I think it's better to take more time, to make sure that you are implementing your processes. If you have new service providers, like say a new web development team, that are working with you, to do it properly and to minimize those hiccups.
I think we've touched on some components of what you're testing currently at the moment and what you guys at Ozone API are doing. Based on everything that we've discussed, what would you say is one thing that you recommend every B2B company with technical audiences should test in the next 30 days?
We mentioned it earlier. I would say video. We know that video format is the best way to do it. But with that, there also, I would encourage marketing teams to experiment with different formats. Could you do a live webinar? Could it be something like an explainer demo video? Regulatory guides. There are lots of different formats, and I would test it. One thing that we've been doing is testimonial videos, and sometimes the video output is not what you want, so we've turned it into audio. So can you remix and experiment with different formats?
Nothing to us. That's a really good take in the sense that, because with the testimonial videos, it's so hard because you ask for them in the first place, but then you want to give them the creative freedom to do it in their own style and way. But then sometimes when you get that end result, it just doesn't hit. It just doesn't hit. So you're just like, okay. But I think that's really great. The fact that you said you can actually, rather than just chuck it all away, you can utilize that and use it as an audio version. And you could potentially as well get some quotes off the back of that and create some images as well, because that can still work.
Exactly.
And then, of course, as we approach the end of the conversation, it'd be good to understand from your side who you believe is another marketing leader who our audience should be following that maybe they haven't heard of yet.
I am a big fan of Lucy Heavens. She is a very well-known senior marketer, CMO. She's actually just started her own fractional CMO business called Heaven Sent, I believe. And she is also on the board of advisors, or on the committee of the FinTech marketing community. She has been a great support to me. She's always open to, if you reach out to her, want about some ideas, want some input on various elements, or if you're looking for agency suppliers. She's been fantastic. She also actually has a podcast called CMO Therapy. It's very much a great place for B2B marketers, predominantly fintech, I'd say. So yeah, if you don't know her, I would give her a follow and check her out.
No, I definitely will. I definitely will. And then, if you could get her on the podcast, what would you want me to ask her?
Ooh, I mean, she covers so much. Maybe a good angle could be for fintech marketers in their career path, maybe something around how to grow and thrive in your fintech marketing career.
Okay. And then as we wrap up now, is there anything that you're currently doing or working on that you'd like people to go and check out? And then also, where should people find you? Where's the best place for people to find you?
We operate in a B2B world, so find us on LinkedIn. You can find myself and Ozone API. We have a lot of regular content, and that directs to our brand home, to our website. I mentioned that we are about to launch our Global Voices Season 3 video series. That will be coming soon in September. We also have a number of regional campaigns that are going to be coming out. So follow us on LinkedIn. You will be in the know, and you can also sign up to our mailing list on our website.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me today, Katie. I've definitely enjoyed the conversation, and I'm sure that our audience as well will enjoy the conversation as well.
Thank you so much for having me.